Ferrari fans haven't had much to cheer for over the last 15 years, but hopes were high this season. At preseason testing, it was already clear that they had a competitive car. And with Charles Leclerc at the wheel, it looked like their championship drought might finally be coming to an end. But so far, the season hasn't unfolded how they had hoped. So why are Ferrari still not ready to fight back against Red Bull? Stay tuned as we dive into Ferrari's 2022 problems and what is holding them back from winning. A lead evaporated. Just a few races ago, Charles Leclerc had Max Verstappen in his rearview mirror. Leclerc was speeding away with a 34-point lead in the championship and had barely made any mistakes. He was proving to everyone that Ferrari were right to put their championship hopes in him. But things can change quickly in Formula 1. Leclerc is now 31 points behind Verstappen and must be wondering how it all went wrong. It all started in Imola, in what the team were hoping would be a Ferrari home win. The prancing horses had strong performances in the 3 opening races of the season, and by the time they returned to Italy for the 4th round, expectations were still high. The weekend started off well on Friday, when Charles Leclerc topped the timing sheet for the first practice session. But the rest of the weekend was one to forget. Leclerc lost 2 positions at the first turn of the race, while his teammate Carlos Sainz was taken out by Daniel Ricciardo. Leclerc ended up losing even more places, spinning off the track, and eventually crossed the finish line in P6. Since Italy, Leclerc has had 2 DNFs in Spain and then in Azerbaijan. A P2 finish in Miami has helped stop the bleeding a little, but it still only amounts to 30 points for Leclerc over the last 4 races. Meanwhile, Verstappen has scored 90 points with 3 race wins. And the reigning world champion doesn't have much sympathy for Leclerc. After his latest win in Baku, Verstappen told the media that Leclerc's bad luck was just part of the sport. He said, "Shit happens. That's racing, you know. It happened to me, and unfortunately, it's happening to Charles now." Verstappen's had his share of mechanical issues at the beginning of the season, with 2 DNFs in 3 races, but since then, Red Bull have looked unstoppable. Technical or strategic? At the center of Ferrari's championship bid is Charles Leclerc. He's been the man to beat during qualifying and has racked up 6 pole positions already, but only 2 of those have been converted into race wins. At the Spanish Grand Prix, it was a familiar sight with Leclerc leading at the midway point of the race before he suffered a turbo and MGU-H failure. As devastating as it was, the next race was even worse. It was Leclerc's home Grand Prix in Monaco, and he was aiming to break a curse that has seen him fail to finish the race to date. This year was looking different though. Leclerc had already crashed at Monaco during an exhibition event where he drove Niki Lauda's championship-winning car, so his fans were hoping that he got his bad luck out of the way. And after another pole position, the Monegasque was on the verge of clinching the first win in front of his home crowd. That's when it became clear that Ferrari have much deeper problems than their mechanical issues. A strategic blunder by the team saw Leclerc's first pit stop lose P1 to Sergio Perez, and then an indecisive call double-stacked him behind his teammate, after which point he had lost too much time to challenge for the race win. During the race, Leclerc was screaming at his team's disorganization, and after the race, he wasn't feeling much better. He said, "Let down is not the word. Some mistakes can happen, but there have been too many mistakes today. We can't do that, especially in the moment we're in now, when we are extremely strong." Reliability. After the Spanish Grand Prix, it was confirmed that Ferrari were facing a reliability crisis. Both of their cars were retired with mechanical problems, and their customer teams were struggling too. Alfa Romeo, who use the Ferrari engine, have had 4 retirements already this season, and Haas driver Kevin Magnussen failed to finish the last 2 races because of engine issues. These results point to big problems with Ferrari's power unit. And Ferrari boss, Mattia Binotto, has admitted it. In the build-up to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, Binotto said the goals of the team this year were actually not as high as most people think. Speaking to the BBC, he said, "We set our objectives to be back competitive in 2022. So, our objective is to be competitive, not to win the championship. Being competitive is one fact. Becoming world champion is another level of task." But in Azerbaijan, the team were not even able to be competitive. It was the worst possible outcome when both Ferrari cars retired. Carlos Sainz had a hydraulic problem, while Charles Leclerc's power unit failed. While the hydraulic problem had a short-term solution, the Ferrari engineers had to take Leclerc's engine back to the factory for closer inspection. They will certainly have to install another engine for Leclerc soon, in what will be his third of the season. Charging bulls. Apart from their own mistakes, there is one big obstacle standing in the way of Ferrari's return to the World Championship stage. It's Red Bull. They are feeling more confident than ever after beating Mercedes last year and are in a very strong position now. Red Bull's power unit has been much more reliable than Ferrari's, and this could be a deciding factor. The team's advisor, Helmut Marko, thinks at this rate, grid penalties are inevitable for Ferrari later in the season. But Marko said his team preferred to win on the racetrack rather than from mechanical problems. He said, "We want a fair fight." That sounds like what Mercedes used to say when they were dominating the turbo hybrid era. But careful what you wish for, Marko. Mercedes regretted asking for more competition after their winning streak was broken by Red Bull last year. But what is giving the Red Bulls the edge? If we have a look during his pole position lap in Baku, Charles Leclerc's helmet camera view showed just how much Ferrari are still porpoising. Maybe not quite as bad as Mercedes, whose driver Lewis Hamilton was struggling to get out of his car, but it's still clearly affecting the Ferrari's performance. That could be a key difference between the top two teams. After Sergio Perez crashed during the qualifying run in Monaco, some of Red Bull's secrets were revealed on the bottom of the car. As a crane lifted it off the road, rivals got their first good look at the underside of the championship leaders. It seems that Red Bull have included clever features like an ice skate, a flat customized central keel, and mini Venturis. If all of that sounds too technical, that's because it's the work of master designer Adrian Newey and his team. But the important point is that these floor characteristics have made Red Bull one of the only teams that is not suffering severe porpoising. If Ferrari wants to go toe-to-toe with Red Bull, they'll have to find an answer to their ongoing porpoising problems. Upgrades. It's never easy at the top. Throughout the season, the leading teams are fighting a development war, but that means that there are always opportunities to get ahead of your rival. One positive for Ferrari in Baku was their brand new upper rear wing. The upgrade was actually meant for Miami, but didn't end up being ready in time. But before both their cars retired, the F175 was flying. Binotto thinks that this has helped them close the top speed gap with Red Bull. He said, "I think on that level of downforce, I don't think we've got such a big disadvantage to Red Bull. The speeds were very similar." One of the key battles in this year's development race is to trim the weight of the cars down. Earlier in the year, several teams even stripped the paint off their cars to try to get as close as they can to the minimum weight of 798 kilograms. McLaren CEO Zak Brown explained that the 2022 regulations added a bit of mass to everyone's cars. He said, "With the halo, the bigger tires, the longer cars, we were all overweight." And that's one thing that could put Red Bull even further ahead in the future. According to reports, the team's cars are still around 8 kilograms over the minimum weight limit. Red Bull team principal Christian Horner has admitted that this was a priority for the defending world champions. He said, "We need to lose a couple of kilos off the car. Tire deg is then the result of weight, so it's all those little incremental gains that you're always chasing." Bouncing back. So, will the prancing horses be able to do enough to get back on top? It's possible. We're not even halfway through the season yet, and Red Bull have already shown how quickly the lead can change hands. Mattia Binotto knows that the mechanical and strategic failures can't continue for much longer. Talking before the Canadian Grand Prix, he said, "Reliability is a key element of overall performance. To finish first you have to finish." And we're not yet there. But Binotto can't seem to make up his mind. He's also said that he prefers to work on improving reliability rather than the fundamental flaws of the car. "I would prefer to have good performance and try to fix reliability rather than vice versa." Ferrari can't have it both ways, and their indecisiveness during races seems to carry over to the car's development too. If they want any chance at a title this year, their moves will have to be bold. The first job will be inspiring confidence in their star Charles Leclerc, who could be losing faith in the team. After the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, he admitted how tough it was mentally. He said, "It's a third disappointment in a row, and it's not easy. Reliability is something that we need to look into. I believe we can win the championship still, but we need to be on top of those things." Whether or not Ferrari can launch a comeback isn't clear, but what's certain is that there is a lot of work ahead of them. Do you think that Ferrari can bounce back from their poor form, or should they start saving their energy for next year? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.